Hello, everybody, and welcome to the November edition of the Jamf Security Lounge. My name is Aaron Webb, and I'm the Product Marketing Manager for Security here at Jamf, and I'll be your host for today's session. Thank you so much for joining us today and logging on wherever you are in the world. Just a reminder that we do have live captioning, so if you want to turn that on in the system, please go ahead and do so. Throughout this session, if you've got any questions, please put them in the comment section and we'll get through them as quickly as we can, try and answer as many as we can. We might save some to the end, but if you've got any questions, do think of them and pop them into the chat. We've got a great session for you today and a fantastic presenter who's joining me as we navigate safeguarding against sophisticated malware in a globally connected world. I'm going to introduce my co-host today, or he's not a host, he's actually our guest. So apologies, Harald, would you like to introduce yourself and the background as to how you become an IT admin and what company you're at as well?
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Harald Bosman. I work for the Amsterdam Internet Exchange. This year I work for like 30 years on the Mac platform, started in the creative business. And I worked in an advertising company, and I had Apple as a client over there. And in the meanwhile, I moved from design towards IT, and in the end to enterprise IT and managing Jamf. After the design and advertising studios, I worked for studios for like 3D. Creating 3D backgrounds, technical backgrounds until hospitals. So I have quite a lot of experience in on the Mac platform in different settings. And then after a couple of years, I started to work for an advertising studio, and they had the Casper suite, as it was called back in the days. And I only had a brief contact with it. And then a couple of years later, I was thrown in the depth and I became a Jamf admin. And from there, lots of study, lots of steep learning curves until the moment where I can manage the Jamf of Jamf Pro, Jamf Protect, and Jamf Trust.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. There's a wealth of background you've got there. I think we're getting a little bit of static. I'm hearing some static. I don't know if you can adjust your microphone slightly, but it's coming through clear. It's just a little bit of static, but such a great wealth of background expertise you've got there. I'm super excited to dive in and ask you more questions. For those of you that haven't joined Jamf Security Lounge before, we just do a fireside chat. Any comments that you've got, please throw them in the chat, as I said earlier. But we'll just dive straight into the content because I really want to hear from Harald today about all of his expertise, how he's rolled it out, how he manages and secure Apple in the enterprise. So thank you for that introduction, Harald. Fantastic. Can you describe the main factors, really? I know you mentioned it briefly there as you sort of was finishing up your introduction. Can you describe the main factors that led to you choosing Jamf Pro, Jamf Connect, Jamf Protect for both managing and securing your Mac devices?
Yeah, sure. As a Mac admin, you have to solve specific problems. And depending on the kind of company you work, that sometimes you need a little bit of help. And an MDM system can help you to mitigate all these problems and to give you an overview of all these problems and to solve these problems en masse. So then you have, there are more MDM solutions on the world. First of all, I already got a little bit of experience with Jamf as in the Casper suite. And, Jamf has a quite good reputation in this business. So it was kind of straightforward to put efforts and energy in learning how to deal with the Jamf platform. So that was one of the things that stood out for me. On the other hand, it is also really important as a Mac admin to, at least for my role at this point, is to keep my colleagues, my co-workers, as safe as possible. So online safety is a very big issue. And then you are looking for a product that can cover all these specifics. So you have an MDM, you have your protection, you have your integration with the big IDPs, and then the circle is round. And if you see where the Mac platform came from in the early days, when I was working with Novell as an email client, which didn't work with it very well, but okay, you had at least something to communicate in an enterprise environment. And now, if you see how easy, especially with the help of Jamf, it integrates with Azure, and how you can make that whole Mac platform just as manageable and easy in a Microsoft environment or any other environment, Okta or Workforce One. It's just easy, and there is manageable, hardly any difference. And I think that especially Jamf, because it's aiming specifically on that Mac platform, that works really well.
I love how you spoke about how that the MDM come together with your endpoint protection. You're looking at the holistic way of bringing management and security together. It's something we pride ourselves on at Jamf because, as you said, there's needs in your organization, and we bridge that gap between what Apple provides and what organizations need. And I think you articulate that great in the fact that you said you've got these needs that the other parts of the organization need, but you want to really preserve that native Apple experience on those devices.
Yeah, as I said in the past, Apple and Jamf are in the same football, so that works really well. If there is a problem, it usually gets solved pretty quickly, and that makes it really good.
And those happy end users, right? Because they've chosen an Apple device, they expect that native
Yeah,
technology to work in the same way their personal technology works in
for
the
sure.
enterprise. Yeah.
I mean, like I said earlier, I work now for 30 years on the Mac platform, and in the beginning, things were hard. I mean, it was not always easy in the enterprise. Nowadays, most people expect that a certain behavior, and that's possible. It's
Yeah.
easy, or it is getting easier, especially on the front side. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean that the life of a Mac admin is easy.
No, but choosing those right tools certainly helps, and being able to educate yourself and educate the end users about
Yeah,
this holistic approach to Apple technology at work
you
is
always have to move forward and keep on learning, keep on learning. The world moves very quickly in this business.
certainly. And talking about moving quickly and the world evolves, the threat landscape has certainly evolved over the last number of years. How has the implementation of Jamf solutions improved your organization's overall security posture, specifically on those Apple devices?
Well, it's mostly visibility. I mean, for a company, it's quite easy to do something with laptops. Then managing phones is already a bit harder. So when I came to work for this company, there was already Jamf, but it had to go a step higher. The level had to get higher in order to maintain safety for all the users. So visibility is one very important point. And from that visibility, once you have that visibility, you can build policies. You can start to make agreements. Because without visibility, you can't do that. And beside that, and that is one of the nice parts, is that integration between Apple, Jamf, and any IDP is the response. So I can create something in, say, like Jamf Protect, and Jamf Protect talks with Jamf Pro, and that talks with the end user. And that's exactly what we need. And that's the way to deal even with quite complex environments.
Yeah, I think as you said there, that joined up approach, we spoke about it earlier about like making sure that native experience is there for those end users to be able to notify the end user about what's going on in the device, be able to just run in the background and not hinder what they're doing on a day-to-day basis so they can actually get on with their job and just work. But you have that visibility over what's going on. I think that's huge for any company. If you don't have visibility in those devices, you don't even know where to start or what's accessing it or what's happening on those devices. So it's a great call out there about visibility.
Yeah, it's you get you work in a very nice framework where you can do whatever you want, and adapt it to your company standards. So where I work now is completely different from one of my previous employees. So you can change it the way you want, and that's really nice.
Yeah, and you can't protect what you can't see. So like if you can't see those devices, you haven't got a posture
Exactly.
or a strategy in the organization. It's never going to work for you.
Exactly. Like I said, visibility is the key to to make this a success.
And so, how that level of security visibility that you've gained over your Apple fleet, because, like as you said, there's things that happen in the workplace for your laptops that you may have those Windows devices, but this visibility over the Apple devices, since you've adopted those Jamf solutions, how is it identifying or mitigating any of those security risks?
Well, first we went from 0 to 100, and that was really necessary. We combine this with Microsoft Sentinel. There is a team behind it to process the logs. To create a better environment, one of the first steps was to create a situation where you can be an admin on demand. Especially in the environment where I work, there are quite a lot of users that need to be admin, but they can't be admin all the time. So I had to work with my CISO on how to do that, and I found a way to do that. So I call it being an admin on demand. You're an admin for like 50 minutes, and then it's over, and that narrows the attack vector quite a lot. Besides that, because of that visibility, you also can see, say, like the user's attitude of behavior on the web, and you can create policies for that. Because earlier, this was not visible. I mean, it's a device, but there's a human being behind it, and there's a certain behavior, and with these tools, you can monitor that, and you can change a policy, and these policies should be dynamically changed because things are always changing. All people are also changing. So the world around you is also changing. So the nice part is that because of that visibility, you can change these policies and be stronger against potential malicious people.
Yeah, you're right. I think as you said, that constant evolving landscape, the technology adapts. We've had companies where they say, reach out, they want to block TikTok. Yeah, we can do that, no problem for you. And there's other companies that be like, we want to allow certain apps or we want to enforce certain policies. And it's all adaptable, as you said. It's customizable to your needs as your organization, but protecting those users and your business, personal data, financial information, anything that those devices are the gateway to anything in your business, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, say for instance, Jamf Trust, it gives you a main set of websites or subjects that you can either block or allow. But underneath, there are quite a lot of subsets. And besides that, you can also create your own subset. So, say, like for instance, gambling. It is still possible to have your nationwide um, gambling website or local casino uh, enabled, allowed to go to, because it's legit. But for all the other ones, you can still block it. So it's very, you can work very granular.
Yeah. And that's something that we get so much feedback on, that granularity of being able to just dive straight in from customers all over. Because as you said, every customer's got different needs. Every organization's got different needs.
Yeah.
Every user's got a different need as to how they expect that device to work as well. So we've certainly blended the boundaries between what's a work device and what's a personal device now as well,
Yeah.
which makes it harder for you as an IT admin.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I love you. There's something that you said back then in a response about working closely with your CISO, and I think that's fantastic to hear, because we often hear from many organizations globally that sometimes, like, the Apple admin doesn't necessarily get to speak to the security team, and sometimes there is no we're having to sort of develop those relationships internally in organization. I love the fact that you spoke about that, and that your CISO helped you find a solution for your Apple fleet, because at the end of the day, these tools have been adopted by the organization. They've been adopted and embraced by the end users. The CISO needs to have that visibility across any of the devices that are in their organization.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to explain your CISO the functionality and all the options, so he can, write a policy for that I can set and deploy to all the users. So it's really a one-on-one working together in order to make the environment for all your users safe, and so they can save online without thinking.
Yeah, certainly a team effort. So in terms of, like, just going back to your Mac fleet and your Mac devices, what specific security features or functionalities with Jamf Protect have been the most beneficial in safeguarding your Apple platform?
Well, actually, there are quite a lot. First of all, the main Apple pillar in this case is Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper, MTR. It will be updated automatically because of Jamf Pro. But Jamf Protect keeps logs exactly what's happening on each device. Logs Gatekeeper on each device, I have to say. And that gives you, again, a good overview on what's happening. The other thing that is really nice, not specifically for Jamf Protect, but again, the integration with like Sentinel is amazing, or with AWS. That's really necessary in this case. Personally, I also like the different sys levels, so you can do more. You can secure your compliancy. And I think that the best of all is still the integration with Jamf Pro. I use a SOAR principle, so security, orchestration, automation, and response, where that whole response part is really, really, really important. Because if something happens and you cut the user out of the network, then the user is like, okay, what the heck is happening here? And you want to communicate via the platform with your user. So there is a response. The possible threat is mitigated. You can tell the user from, hey, listen, now you have to restart, or you have to go to your IT department, or you have to do this or that. Or, hey, listen, we got this under control. It's being taken care of. So the response part is between Jamf Protect and Jamf Pro is really important.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. I think that response saves people so much time. It saves you time. It saves the end user time. That time is money. They're not going to pick up another device and start using that if they don't know about what's going on with their work issue device. And as you said, it's that Jamf Pro and Jamf Protect working together. It's that Apple MDM framework that they provide and the Endpoint Security API coming together to manage and secure those endpoints.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, you have certain levels of the threats have certain levels of severity. You know, the level 3 is more or less informational, and you know can be handled by Jamf Protect, read Gatekeeper itself. The level 2, in most cases, it can be handled by macOS or by some scripting that you did or some other things, also without any user intervention. Once you get your level 2 that is a little bit more complicated and is really a threat, okay, then other script starts running. And with a level 1, then you know you got immediately disconnected from the from any network, and that is also that granularity in this is really nice. You can make your smart groups on it. You see who is in which category.
Yeah, those smart groups come into their own, especially when it's a threat and you need to be able to respond quickly, to be able to automate something and know that it's going to reduce the risk or put the end user into a different state. It's certainly something that really is coming to its own as we start to talk about management and security. You can have endpoint security, but if you haven't got the management there, you're not going to be able to remediate, do those things that you do in Jamf.
Exactly. I mean, there are security products, and they are perfectly in logging and showing you what's going on. But to who is it talking to? To the user? But the user doesn't know anything because, you know, they're not the experts. They are not the admins. They, you know, they don't have the experience. So then what's the use of having these applications? And there are always false positives or false negatives, and it's nice that that is all being logged, so it can be judged by someone who has more expertise in this without the user immediately take off the network.
Yeah. So we've spoken quite a bit about the Macs, but you've also moved the same sort of like you identified that actually your mobile fleet needed the same level of protection as well, right? So
yeah, correct.
What led you to extend Jamf's capabilities from your Mac fleet to securing your mobile fleet, and what specific advantages has this brought to your organization?
Well, in a modern enterprise or any modern company, your phone is getting more and more important, mostly because of authentication. So your phone is holding quite a lot of sensitive information about you as a user, but also about the company. So again, we needed visibility on these phones because they hold so much sensitive information. We needed to have visibility from what's going on there. Where is the user browsing to, so we can make sure that it is safe. So yeah, that's one. And then for the Mac, you know, it's a little bit easier because then you have your standard products like Jamf Pro, Jamf Protect, done. But we needed Jamf Trust in order to keep these information carriers also safe and see what's going on there, so they can again being safe online and safely authenticate with the rest of your systems. That also means a hacker also knows that these phones are very sensitive and hold a lot of information. So that means that you have to think twice on how to protect these. And that's why it was for us pretty logical to take the next step from Jamf Protect towards Jamf Trust.
I love that you've brought those mobile fleets into the fold. From what you've learned from your Mac, like Mac and mobile coming together is fantastic, because we see so many people that just neglect their mobile fleets and just be like, oh, it's just the end user. They haven't got it's their own device, or like we just hand out the phone. But as you said, that's the gateway to so much information now.
Exactly.
And people expect that if they've got an iPhone or they're using a Mac, that sharing, that ability to go between different devices on the Apple platform, they expect that certain level of user experience. And I think, as you said, that Jamf Trust app just works across both Mac and mobile, so it gives them that coherent experience they expect on any of their devices that they're using.
Yeah, exactly. And they are kindly reminded to update their iOS, which is also really important in this case.
Yeah, and I think all those things that as you said earlier, being able to have visibility into those devices, the fact that they've traveling with those devices, and often they will respond to an email, or they will end up being used for their own personal use, and click on a phishing link, or have some sort of text message that's going to start to then not only go after their personal data, but any of the business data, the keys to your kingdom, if they can get into work because there's any work sensitive data on there, or passwords.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, in our case, we have quite a lot of engineers and salespeople that are traveling all over the world, and some of these countries are very friendly, and others are not. So yeah, I have to deal with that and make it happen, so that in all these countries they can use whatever they want, and still being safe.
Yeah, again, I'm in awe about how you're looking at a holistic approach to your security, to the fleet that you've got, and you're not just saying that we're only going to focus on the Macs, we're only going to focus on the Windows laptops. We're looking at all of the devices that a user is using for work and personal use as well.
Yeah, and thanks to the integration with the Microsoft platform in this case, where also Jamf Trust makes hooks into that possibility of working with it, and get your conditional access and your locations, etc., etc. So Jamf Protect or our Jamf Pro or your SIEM can respond to that and can work with it.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we said earlier, that bridging the gap between what Apple provides and what an organization needs. And as you said there, some people have a Microsoft stack, some people have an existing technology stack that they want to plug into. And I think that's the benefits that we're seeing when we can give a really holistic, best of breed approach to an Apple fleet that is going to really allow you to embrace Apple, but have that security posture that you need that plugs into the existing tools that you've already got.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So in terms of have you observed any measurable improvements in terms of compliance with security standards, any regulatory requirements after implementing solutions for both your Mac and mobile devices?
Yes, for sure. I can, because of that visibility, you see that updating is really important. So the updates are rolled faster. People are more compliant towards the rules, and the devices are more compliant. People are more aware because you can tell them from, hey, listen, I see this and this. Where does that come from? Do you understand that by going to these websites or by installing these and these applications that you put the business data at risk? And then you can get interesting conversations, and I think that's really interesting. Besides that, because of that visibility, you can also see where your threats are coming from, and that's also quite major to understand from, hey, where does this come from? And then you can talk with the user, then you can start to change your policies. And by changing your policies, you are better in pinpointing to mitigate these possible threats. So there is for sure a change. And on the other hand, it's not also where it comes from. But what I was not aware of, for example, is that small content like buttons can hold malicious scripts as well. And during the time that we use Jamf Trust, we see that a lot. And you have no idea if you are not confronted with this, if you didn't have any experience with this. And now, again, it is visible, and trying to figure it out where it comes from so you can do something about it and make your users aware.
I think that's a great point about how the threat landscape is evolving. The methods are becoming more sophisticated. We're seeing, especially as people adopt like AI and machine learning, etc. Like it's being used on both sides, and we're seeing more sophisticated ways in which they are trying to dupe a user to put in their credentials. They're trying to make things look as authentic as possible to try and get those credentials off of someone. And as you said, like just by hiding something malicious in a button, it can be quite hard to detect that, even with the best training, the best tools. But you need to have that layered defense in order to protect your organization.
Yeah. I mean, and it's also because you see this behavior, it leads to a possible discussion with users or with your security department on how to handle these situations or how you can prevent these situations. And I think that the fact that because of this visibility, that you can open up a discussion either with the user or with technical co-workers or with security or even with the management team, that's also that's really it's a nice side effect of it.
Yeah. And it's, as you said, it's a team effort. We spoke about the CISO and yourself coming together, but actually it's everyone in the whole organization is there to protect not only the personal business data, their own personal data as well. It's a team effort with tools and education.
Yeah, that indeed. Education, awareness, yes, for sure. Because technology can do a lot, good and harmful, but technology by itself cannot do everything. So you need to have discussions, you need to have that awareness. So awareness training for any users is still a big thing.
And I know you've mentioned it. I know you've mentioned it a few times, but is those Jamf tools helping that end user in that education piece because they're giving visibility into what's going on their device, what they've clicked on, how the state of their device is at the moment? Is that really helping in the organization?
In case of Jamf Trust on your phone, yes, that's for sure helping. For the rest, it's mostly the visibility for the Mac admins, for the Jamf admins, for the security people. And then they can, then they have numbers, they have proof, but then proof in a positive way, which they can present to their users or to their department heads and say, hey, listen, we see this and this happening. Why? Where do you got this from? Well, here you go. And then it's easy to end the discussion in a positive way very quickly.
I love how that you also just said that they don't even notice that anything's going on their machine. Like it's for the IT admin, and that's what they expect, right? They want it to just work. They don't want to have the device slowed down. They don't want to end up things popping up every time they're trying to be productive, because that just sends them to then put that device down and pick up another device and start using that instead of a work.
Yeah, exactly.
Device.
I mean, there are products out there that take quite a lot of resources, and especially if you are like working for with heavy users, like for 3D or video, or even developers, they cannot handle these slowdowns. It has to be there. You cannot have that another agent or another daemon or another program is taking so much resources that they can't do their work in the time they want to do it. So that's also really important. And I had some developers having checked this from, hey, listen, can you please work with this for a while and give me some feedback? And they did, and they don't notice.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. In keeping that native Apple experience is exactly what we want to do, and
exactly.
And it's why you bought Apple. You buy Apple to give that experience, and then your security tools should be transparent over the top.
Yeah, I completely agree with this.
So, final question. If you've got questions, please do drop them in the chat. We're coming up to sort of like the end of the session now. But my final question for you, Harald, looking ahead, what are your future plans for enhancing the security of your Mac and your mobile device fleets? And how do you see the role of Jamf evolving in your security strategy for the future?
Well, first of all, I think that the line between functionality and security is very thin. So it's you always have to be careful by not crossing it. I want to go to more automation, better responses. I want to dig deeper in the application and the functionality of the application. I want to help Jamf with this to add more, feature requests from, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Because that is something that I, for my business, just need in order to keep them safe and to understand where a threat comes from. I also want to have more flexible policies. Like I said earlier, we have quite a lot of engineers and salespeople that go all around the world. It's possible that I need policies for several parts of the world. So I have to dive into that deeper to make it more automated. So in order that these people can go wherever they want without notifying me. Because that's also that freedom is really important. They should not know. They should be able to go wherever they go and have the idea that, IT department keeps us safe without feeling it, without knowing it, wherever they go. And doesn't matter if they go to China or to Oman or to Qatar or to the US or to Venezuela, it should not matter. And I should always be able to keep them as safe as possible. So yes, automation again is key in this case. Going deeper into the applications and into the functionality.
Yeah, I think that you're right, and especially with the traveling executives as well, or traveling workforce, and we've got more and more people being interested in going further and looking at that deep analysis on mobile devices with our Jamf Executive Threat Protection piece of software. So I think it's something that people are mindful of, and it's something. Is that something you've looked at as well, and something that's on the radar for you for the future?
Yes, for sure. Yes, for sure, because it gives you the possibility to especially do some deep research on what's going on in a mobile device. And I haven't seen any XDR with a product that can go this deep. I mean, I was really surprised. Besides that, Jamf Executive Threat Protection is also invisible. While Jamf Trust, because Jamf Trust is working with the browser, is kind of visible. But Jamf Executive Threat Prevention is completely invisible, and that's really nice. So it is not being detected by firewalls or other systems, and that's really cool. And that is a way to get rid of or protect the user to even the most sophisticated malware.
I'd love to. I think we need to bring you back once you've had the experience of executive threat protection, because it's something that we're super proud of. And I love the fact that you've got this existing stack of management, Jamf Protect, Jamf Connect. You brought it from Mac to mobile, and now you're looking to add on that executive threat protection to go even deeper into your mobile threats as well.
Yeah.
I think you've got such a great foundation, and it all goes back to that holistic approach of management and security. And I think it's absolutely great to see that how your experience and all the things that you've learned that you've brought to the Amsterdam Internet Exchange, and then you've gone even further and taken it to the next level of Mac and mobile security. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I have a nice job. I have to admit that.
Very nice job. Very nice job. Thank you so much. I think that we've got not many questions coming in, but we're almost pressed for time. I want to say thank you so much, Harald, for sharing your expertise, sharing your knowledge. It's so valuable to hear how you've gone on that journey and the tools that you're using. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure we'll hear more from you in the near future as well.
Thank you for this opportunity. You're welcome, and for sure that we talk again.
Thank you so much. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you to Harald for today for sharing safeguarding against sophisticated malware in a globally connected world. We've touched on everything that we could have possibly with all of the Jamf products, the ways in which you can secure Mac and mobile. So there's so much great content in there. If you have missed it, this will be available on demand. You can also go and check out any of our older security lounges that we've done over the past year by going to jamf.com/LP Jamf Security Lounge. I think we'll put a link in the chat for you as well, so you can grab that as well. Don't forget that we do have a number of webinars as well. So the latest webinar that we've got coming up, if you go to jamf.com and check out the events, we've got one on Secure Your Future. Don't let the latest mobile security threats, misconceptions cost you. And that's on November the 15th. We run it 3 times, depending on which time zone you're in. So go and check that out. We're going to take a short break. We're not going to have a security lounge in December. Lots of people will either be preparing for the holidays, but we'll take this break and we'll level set in 2024. But thank you so much. In the meantime, if you have any questions or you'd like to be a guest on a future Jamf Security Lounge, please reach out to us at security.lounge@jamf.com. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great rest of 2023, and we'll see you in 2024. Take care and speak soon.